You walk consistently every single day, yet your belly fat still refuses to move. This is not your fault. This is the fault of the misinformation you have believed for far too long. I have spent many years studying metabolism and hormonal health, and the thing that surprises most people the very first time they hear it is this: belly fat is not afraid of how long you exercise. It is only afraid of one single thing. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that is in this video. Stay until the end of the video, because I am going to show you the exact time of day when just 20 minutes of walking can be more effective than an entire hour of running, and the reason behind it will completely change the way you approach belly fat loss from this day forward. Let me ask you a very honest question. Have you ever tried walking consistently, controlling your diet more carefully, even going to bed earlier, yet that belly area still stayed there as if it did not even belong to your body? You look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? I understand that feeling. And today, I am not going to tell you things like try harder or just eat less. I am going to show you something that most people, including people who go to the gym every single day, have never truly understood about the most dangerous type of fat in the human body. 1. The real problem. Most of us grew up believing in a very simple formula. If you want to lose fat, you need to burn calories, and if you want to burn calories, you need to move more. It sounds logical. But if that formula were completely true, why are there so many people who exercise consistently every single day, yet their belly fat still does not change after many months? The answer is not that they are not trying hard enough. The answer is that they are fighting visceral fat in a way that this type of fat does not truly respond to. Visceral fat, the fat stored deep inside the abdominal cavity, surrounding the liver, intestines, and pancreas, does not behave like ordinary subcutaneous fat. It does not simply sit there waiting for you to burn it away through step counts. It is a type of fat with its own biological function. It responds to hormones. It responds to cortisol. It responds to insulin. And more importantly than anything else, it responds to whether your body feels safe or whether it feels like it is under threat. That is why a 20-minute walk and a 40-minute walk, even though they are separated by only 20 minutes, can create two completely different biological reactions inside your body. 2. The first 20 minutes. When you begin walking, the very first thing that happens is not fat burning. The very first thing that happens is that your body begins asking questions. It asks, is this real movement or just a few steps before going back to the couch again? During the first few minutes, blood circulation begins to improve. Small blood vessels open up, delivering oxygen to active tissues. The nervous system begins shifting away from the stress state built up from many hours of sitting still. Muscles begin pulling glucose from the bloodstream into the cells, which automatically helps stabilize blood sugar and reduce the burden on insulin. That is why after just 15 to 20 minutes of walking, you often feel mentally clearer, lighter, and less heavy after a meal. But, and this is the point most people do not know at this stage, your body is still in a waiting state. It hears the signal, but it does not trust it yet. Imagine it like this. You are knocking on your neighbor's door. They hear the knock, but they are still looking through the crack in the door to decide whether you are someone trustworthy or not. The first 20 minutes are exactly that moment your body is looking through the crack in the door and has not yet decided whether to open it. Pause for a second, because what I am about to tell you may completely overturn the way you currently exercise. Your body cannot truly distinguish between fear and excessive exercise. To your body, both are danger. Both activate the exact same survival response. That means you may be training harder every single day while actually causing visceral fat to cling even more tightly to your body every single day. And I'm going to explain exactly why right now. 3. 40 minutes. When the body truly begins to cooperate. When you do not stop, when you continue walking steadily, consistently, without rushing, something begins to change in a way that 20 minutes simply cannot create. Around the 25th to 30th minute, the nervous system is no longer experimenting. It begins to truly believe that the body is in a safe, stable, and controlled state. Cortisol, the hormone that is one of the greatest silent enemies of visceral fat, begins to decrease noticeably, not just fluctuate slightly like during the first 20 minutes. It begins to genuinely drop. Insulin becomes more stable because the muscles continue using glucose efficiently and continuously. And this is the most important part. When cortisol decreases, when insulin stabilizes, and when the nervous system shifts into a calmer state, visceral fat begins receiving a message it has been waiting for a very long time. That message is, there is no danger anymore. There is no need to hold on so tightly anymore. It is safe to begin releasing. That is the moment when fatty acids from visceral fat begin entering the bloodstream to be used as energy. Not because you forced your body harder, not because you ran faster, but because you created enough biological conditions for your body to willingly cooperate. If 20 minutes is you knocking on the door, then 40 minutes is when the door truly begins to open. To put it simply, it is not about exercising more, it is about exercising smarter, and smarter here does not mean harder, it means more intelligent. And I am about to show you exactly what that looks like in real life right now. 4. The deadly mistake about speed. I know a very natural thought is probably appearing in your mind right now. Then why not just walk faster and push harder for better results? And this is exactly the trap I see so many people fall into, including people who have trained for many years. Remember the most important principle: visceral fat only begins releasing when the body feels safe, when the nervous system is calm, when cortisol is moving downward. Now think about what happens when you suddenly increase your speed. Force yourself to breathe heavily. Your heart starts pounding uncontrollably, and your body tightens under high intensity. The nervous system recognizes that signal immediately, and it interprets it in the only way millions of years of evolution have programmed it to interpret it. This is a threat. This is a survival situation. Cortisol immediately spikes again. Adrenaline floods the body. The body shifts into fight or flight mode. And in that state, visceral fat does not release. It contracts. It holds on even tighter. So what is the ideal speed? Very simple. It is the speed at which you can still say a short sentence of 5 to 7 words without needing to stop halfway to catch your breath. The body is active. The muscles are engaged. Circulation is improving. But the nervous system still recognizes this as a safe and controlled state. That is the golden zone. That is where your biology truly begins cooperating with you. Think about this honestly. How many times have you finished exercising feeling exhausted, irritated, or even more stressed than before the workout? If the answer is often, then there is a very high chance that you have unintentionally been teaching your body that movement is a threat. And your body responds in the only way it knows how: by holding on to fat more tightly. This is not theory. This is a biological mechanism happening inside you every single day, even though you cannot see it. 5. Timing. The secret most people never hear about. Now I want to talk about something that most videos about walking and fat loss never mention. Not speed, not duration, but timing. The exact same 40-minute walk at the right pace and the right rhythm can create completely different effects depending on what time of day you do it. The human body is not a machine that runs the same way 24 hours a day. There are certain moments when the nervous system, digestive system, and hormonal system need support the most. And if you walk during those moments, the benefits multiply in ways most people never expect. The first ideal moment is after meals, especially meals high in carbohydrates such as rice, bread, noodles, vermicelli, or whatever you normally eat at lunch or dinner. When you finish eating and remain sitting still, the body must process all that glucose, mainly through insulin. The excess gets converted into fat and stored, which is one of the most direct pathways toward visceral fat accumulation over time. But when you stand up and walk gently just 10 to 15 minutes after a meal, your muscles immediately become an additional glucose-consuming system. Instead of insulin carrying the entire burden alone, light movement creates a second pathway that allows glucose to be absorbed directly into active muscle cells without requiring as much insulin. Real-world research following more than 300 middle-aged adults showed that the group who walked lightly for 10 minutes after meals had post-meal blood sugar levels up to 22% lower than the group that remained completely sedentary. Just 10 minutes. No running shoes required. No need for a large outdoor track. Walking around your home or inside your workplace still works. The second ideal moment is after periods of intense mental stress. A stressful meeting. A tight deadline. A morning when everything seems to collapse at once. After those moments, cortisol levels in your bloodstream are extremely high. The nervous system is operating in alert mode. And if you do nothing to shift that state, cortisol can remain elevated for many hours, quietly running in the background, continuously sending signals to your body that this is an emergency situation, that it must store everything and hold tightly to every source of energy. A gentle 20 to 40-minute walk immediately afterward acts like a biological pressure release valve. It does not only burn calories, it helps the body shift from fight mode back into a normal state. Cortisol begins to genuinely decrease. And when cortisol decreases, the body no longer has a biological reason to hold tightly to visceral fat. And this is what I truly want you to understand. Your body cannot distinguish between a tiger chasing you through the forest and an email from your boss at 11 o'clock at night. To your nervous system, both are danger. Both trigger cortisol in the exact same way. That is why prolonged periods of stress, work pressure, financial anxiety, family conflict are so often accompanied by increasing belly fat even when you are not eating more food. It is not random. It is not because you are weak. It is cortisol doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting you by storing energy for a threat that does not actually exist. 6. A micro story. I once met a man who worked in an office, sitting for more than 8 hours a day, constantly under pressure from work stress. He walked for 30 minutes every morning, ate relatively healthy meals, yet his waistline continued increasing year after year. When we looked at the full picture, not just what he ate or how he exercised, the first thing we realized was that his cortisol levels were staying elevated almost the entire day. Stressful work. No real recovery periods. And the 30-minute morning walk, although beneficial, was simply not enough to counterbalance 8 to 10 continuous hours of elevated cortisol every day. The only change we added was this: a gentle 15-minute walk after lunch and a 20-minute walk after finishing work exactly during the periods of highest stress in his day. After 6 weeks, his waistline began shrinking. No changes to his diet, no additional workouts, only a change in timing. That is the power of truly understanding the mechanism. 7. The truth about consistency. There is no single walk that creates a major change in visceral fat after only one session. None. The body does not work that way. What truly creates change is repeating the right signals enough times, consistently enough, for the body to begin changing the way it operates at a foundational level. When you walk for 40 minutes at the right time, at the right pace, for 3 to 4 consecutive weeks, something deeper begins happening. Insulin sensitivity improves. The nervous system becomes more familiar with calm states and recovers more quickly after stress. Cortisol gradually stabilizes at a lower baseline level. That is when visceral fat truly begins decreasing in a way you can both see and feel. And you do not need to be perfect. 4 to 5 sessions each week. Aiming for 40 minutes after meals or after stressful periods, the body still receives that cumulative signal. What matters is the trend of consistency, not absolute perfection. Let me summarize everything as simply as possible. Visceral fat does not decrease because you force your body harder. It decreases because you create enough conditions for the body to feel safe enough to let it go. A 20-minute walk begins that process. A 40-minute walk is when that process goes deeper. Walking at the right pace keeps the nervous system in a cooperative state. Walking after meals helps glucose get processed efficiently without forcing insulin to work excessively hard. Walking after stress helps cortisol come down instead of accumulating even further. And when all of those things are repeated consistently enough, they create real sustainable biological change. You do not need shocking methods. You do not need extreme workouts. You do not need to turn your life into a punishment schedule. Tonight, after your meal, simply stand up and walk for 10 minutes. No need to go outside. No running shoes required. No preparation needed. Just stand up and begin. And you will feel the difference yourself, without needing me to explain anything further. If this video gave you a new perspective, save it and share it with someone who has been trying to lose belly fat without seeing results. Because sometimes what people are missing is not effort, but the fact that they are trying in a way their body simply cannot respond to. And if you want to go further, the next video will show you exactly what you should eat during the 2 hours after walking to double these results, or accidentally destroy everything you just created. I will see you there.